Welcome to another episode of Acceptable Accuracy. I am your host, Philip, and I'm joined this week by my co-host, Tyler, as well as two additional guests that are returning, Brent and Paul. You guys want to say hi real quick, and then we'll introduce our topic for the day.
What's up, everyone? Wow. What's up, everybody? It's Tyler.
You know, this is episode 52, by the way. I feel like it's a good thing we don't do this for our day job.
Not even close. We do not make a penny off of this, even though we are an official LLC.
Kick that again. Paul, you introduce yourself after they take you in, or Tyler, or whatever. I'll wait.
No. We're going to keep this. This is going. This is good stuff.
That's so funny. Tyler, the professional speaker, he's all like, I love you, man.
It's because I just did a big old professional speech. That's why I'm like,
You get one a week, and that's it from Tyler.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, done. It's over.
Geez. Well, welcome to Acceptable Accuracy. Like, we acceptably talk or whatever. So,
Do I need to reintroduce this thing?
Yep.
Straight up.
All right. Welcome to Acceptable Accuracy. This is your host, Philip, and I'm joined this week by my co-host, Tyler. And we've got two returning guests, Brent and Paul. Do you guys want to say hi real quick? And we're going to start with Brent this time, saying hi, since our last introduction didn't go so well. So you're actually getting introduction 2.0 today.
Beautiful. Hi, guys. My name's Brent, and I shoot with these Goonie birds.
I want to know what a Goonie bird is. I'm going to Google that here in a second. And then our other guest here, Paul, you want to introduce yourself and say hello?
Yeah, hi, my name's Paul, and I also shoot USPSA with these loony birds.
Nice. And then now, Tyler, we've given you the three other introductions. Now your chance to say hello.
What up?
Fantastic. I would not expect any less from you.
That's awesome. All right, so what are we going to be talking about today, Phil?
Yeah, so today's topic is going to be, let's see here. Tyler likes a lot of things in life. He likes his plants, he likes his girlfriend, he likes his firearms, but Tyler loves dry fire. So today we're going to be talking about dry fire. And to help us, we've brought our guests, again, Brent and Paul, to join us, who are dry fire aficionados. Is that a thing? Can I call it that?
I would think so.
Maybe enthusiasts?
Either way, but I mean, because for those who listened to our previous episode, Phil and I did hint on today's episode as well. And we actually were originally going to record this episode for the previous one, but I kind of pushed back a little bit because, yes, I do love my dry fire, but I will admit I have been slacking on it lately.
Girlfriend.
So that's why I wanted to. It was a mix of girlfriend and work and just life in general, which is an excuse. I'm just gonna admit it. So, but then ironically, that's another reason why we decided to. I wanted to get both Paul and Brent into today's episode because I know they're like very serious about it. Like, this is something that they love to do. They have full on setups, and apparently they have books on dry fire. I didn't even realize that was a thing. I'm like, what?
Yes. So I will say, though, that one of the reasons why I was actually excited about this episode is because I've had fits and starts in my dry fire routine. I have not personally found anything that works or makes sense for me, because like I'll read these books and I'm like, okay, that's great, but it doesn't meet like what I'm looking to do, right? So I'm hoping that by having an actual conversation over this today with these dry fire aficionados, that we can actually hit on some stuff and help people that are listening that really want to get in dry fire. Like, what's the best routine? Everyone's going to be different, yes. But how do you keep it interesting? And what like tools do you find that really helps assist you with that? And what's the best way to get started, honestly?
Mm-hmm. And then for those who don't know what dry fire even means, Brent, do you mind explaining and maybe defining what dry fire is and what that might look like?
Sure. So dry fire costs you nothing. You can do it in the comforts of your own home, in your underwear and socks if you would like.
Nice.
But all it really means is that you make very, very certain that you have a empty gun, thus a dry gun. Put that ammunition somewhere else, and you proceed to draw and basically activate your trigger. If you're lucky, you've got like a double action or tools that will allow your trigger to reset. But you spend a whole bunch of time pressing that trigger, drawing that gun, and acquiring those sights. And then from there, you can take it other places, like set up a bunch of third size targets in your basement or wherever you're shooting or dry firing, and acquire targets and do footwork and, draws and table starts, reloads, all kinds of stuff like that. So you basically can do everything that you do on a range in a competition, or for self-defense, and you can do it cheap. So, yeah.
I will say too that I really appreciate that description. Number one, it was really great. But there are people who have gone from like a C-class shooter to a GM shooter within a very short period of time just by doing a ton of dry fire. I think Ben Stoger is actually one of those individuals.
He is. I'm looking at his book right now. So,
yeah, I think there's a number of other ones too. I think Jory Sauerland had less than 2,000 rounds before he made GM.
That's crazy.
Who was that?
He's one of the Masterpiece Arms sponsor
Yeah.
shooters. He shoots, I think, exclusively limited currently.
Yeah.
Interesting. Not a lot of those guys left.
And for those who don't know what GM means, GM just means Grandmaster. That would be like the highest level of shooter for USPSA.
No, that's a good call out. Yeah, there is different classification. D, I don't know why they started there, but D all the way up through Grandmaster.
Which those are D, C, B, A, M, Master, and Grandmaster.
Yep. So I guess when it comes to dry fire itself, how did dry fire look like for you guys when you first started, and what does it look like now? I'll start with Paul.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to, when I first started my shooting journey, it was COVID time. So dry fire is about the only practice I could get. And especially being a broke college student at the time.
No kidding.
Ammo was not available either.
It sucked.
So
I remember those days, man, like going on my ammo runs, going to Cabela's, going to Dunham's, just trying to pay like 60 cents a round for like 9mm.
It's awful. You're just like scrounging online for but I digress. The basically at the time it was just kind of whatever belt setup or rig I had. So if it was, if I wanted to do concealed carry, that means I had to, put on some pants with belt loops and throw on a belt, and then
you didn't just do in your underwear.
And I just I don't think you can clip on inside the waistband holster to your underwear.
Can. Oh, hey, with some filter you can.
You got some funky underwear.
Yeah, some weight bearing underwear. I didn't know they sold
like a chastity belt kind of thing going
on. If that was the flavor of the moment, or if it was my USPSA rig, just strapping that on, and then I would pick a spot on the wall or a couple spots on the wall and do draws, reloads, transitions, things like that. And now I've actually upgraded. I've spent a little bit of money on actually getting 1/3 scaled size targets. So now I don't have to pick spots in the wall. It's a little more of a defined space to look at, which is nice.
Real quick question on that. Have you found that switching to like the 1/3 size USPSA targets, that has actually helped, especially for things like partial cover on a shot?
I think so. I think when it also opens up your what you can call like an acceptable like sight picture, or like just an area of acceptable accuracy on when you're dry firing. Nice. Because if you just, like, for example, even if you just put like painter's tape on the wall, though, that painter's tape is really, really small, right? You're hardly ever shooting targets that small with a pistol, whether it's in USPSA or in a self-defense situation, right? Mm-hmm. When you have a scaled targets, it's nice to just kind of, you have a specific spot, you can see where your dot is landing or where your sights are landing when you're running through these things, and you can kind of see it's easier to refine some of the areas that you might be making mistakes in, or just little mechanics and details. But I also don't recommend going anything smaller than a third size.
And then I guess the question is, what's the purpose behind doing like third size targets versus doing a whole size target? Is it just because they're limited to space in the area that you shoot in? Because I have a 1/3 as well too.
Yeah, for me, it's most of the drills that I do it out of the Steve Anderson book, which is Dry Fire and Repetition. I'm not paid to say that. I'm actually paying because I bought the book.
Steve Anderson, please sponsor us.
Yeah.
Right. But most of the drills all of the drills, or most of the first 12 drills are the big ones that most people get into. Is only the first drill is 7 yards. All the other the last 11 or the other 11 are all at 10 yards. And so, unless you have a large basement or a large living room to hit actual 10 yards with full size targets, you can achieve a fairly close result with third size scale targets and still have good meaningful practice. Without feeling like you're kind of hitting a brick wall. Because if you get much smaller, then it's really, really hard to kind of see times come down. It's really hard to see progress because it won't feel like you're making progress because you've upped the difficulty, the shot difficulty by a good amount.
No, that's awesome. That's extremely insightful because I kind of understood a little bit behind the reasoning of using the smaller targets, but then I guess I like how you explained too where you don't want to go too small because then it does like you start getting into the point where your shots are just almost too precise.
Yeah, you're not getting any right, because where we all lose time is going to be on things where you're not pulling the trigger, right? That's the whole point of dry fire, right? Most people eventually can learn to hit 0.2 splits, or even if you're shooting at 0.3 splits, that's plenty, right? But there's a huge difference between the guy that's shooting, that's got a sub-second draw and shooting 0.3 splits than a guy that's got a 1.5 or a 2-second draw and shooting 0.2 splits.
Right. And the hard part on that is the target transition, because we can train in that double tap that is, like you're saying, the 0.2, but then you got to get to the next target and the next target and the next target.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And all that stuff is not time that's all stuff that you're not pulling the trigger.
It's a waste of time. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And that's, I think, where a lot of time is lost in USPSA is those transitions and movement as well too. So they say that splits get chicks, but I wonder if movement is maybe where, and a lot, or the trigger transition was where a lot of time people they lose a lot of time.
Yeah, it's the order is time not shooting, transition, and splits.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, I remember, of course, at our most recent USPSA competition last week, I remember we're just at one of the stages kind of preparing where I know Phil, Paul, Thomas, and I are kind of like conversing about how to approach this. And I remember like, should I go left or right? And Paul just looked at me and said, you go left 6 steps, go right 10 steps. I'm like, okay. I didn't, my brain has never even fathomed thinking about how many steps am I taking.
It was 10 feet versus 6 feet.
Same, either way.
And no. And it's it's interesting because that's one of the few times where it's somewhat more beneficial to, like, I mean, I guess it depends.
For sure.
People have made Grandmaster on running it left to right versus right to left. But there's a couple of other things to that as well. But generally speaking, the rule of thumb is where people lose the most time is the time not spent shooting, whether it's at least on a stage, it's all that movement that you have to clear, you have to get past a barrier, or you have to get past a wall, or whatever.
So I'm curious, of course, like with a lot of our conversation now, we're hearing very much like USPSA, which I know is your context. Like I hear that you started shooting during COVID. Like what got you into shooting? Was it because you wanted to get into USPSA? Was it because of COVID? Was it because of the riots? Just really quickly, what's your context?
I kind of got introduced to it by a family member, and at the time we didn't know, and I didn't know anything about competition. I didn't know it was a thing, and at first it was just kind of about self-defense.
For sure.
But it's I enjoy having hobbies that occupy my time, and I find entertaining, and I found USPSA pretty quick, and so that's kind of where it ended up going. But initially, it was just really about becoming a responsible firearm owner, and knowing how to defend and learning how to defend myself.
That makes sense. Oh, cool. So, of course, we just heard Paul's kind of like start to where he's at now. What would you, Brent? What got you into dry fire? Like, what was your start like, and what does your dry fire routine kind of look like now?
My start kind of started that same way. I started dry firing because I wanted to be a better competitor. I had already done the, as far as self protection, I've been doing that for many, many, many years. And the competition stuff is, it's good trigger time. It's super fun, but it is a game. USPSA is a game, and so being better at it. The things that Paul was talking about is the time that you're not shooting is time lost. So all of those things that you can get into. So dry fire, everybody's like dry fire. So of course I get one of those little laser bullets, and I'm like, rack your gun, crack your gun. My first thing that happened with that was I'm like, okay, so this is training me to do something really stupid, and that's go to my slide every time I forget.
Yep.
Have you guys ever seen that video? There's like a dude at a gun range. He's shooting, looks like a Glock. He literally fires, racks, fires, racks. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
It's a bolt action pistol.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they're just like what Steven had to do.
Yeah, pretty much
for one of the stages.
Yeah. So,
shout out to you, bro.
So that transpired quickly, and I looked for better things and better ways to do things. One of the dry fire plans, that the first one that I ever started with was Mike Seeklander. It's your competition handgun training program. He took you through everything that was, everything about shooting that was physical, that was emotional, that was mental.
Oh my goodness!
Even it even almost kind of felt spiritual a little bit too, but it wasn't just about press and trigger. It was about footwork. It was about the mentality that you have to do to compete. So quickly moved on to that, and I went to some better tools that taught me how to do things better. I use all kinds of different scale targets. I have a full scale target, or a full size target in my dry fire, all the way down to quarter scales. I have drills that I do that are footwork, that are reloading. And of course, it for me, it's not just USPSA, but the tactical side of it. Like, I know Paul, I haven't shot with you in that scenario yet, Paul, but I'm looking forward to it. But, of course, Tyler and Phil and I have competed together with that type of stuff. So that goes in, AR stuff, shotgun stuff. Geez, I dry fire shotgun stuff now. So pretty much any platform that I have, I'm set up to do that. And I've got some great tools for that. And if we get there, I'll share those with you. So
yeah, no, that's definitely on the list of things to discuss today, because I think that's important to help people that are listening get, like, because obviously dry firing and resetting your, like, racking the slide each time is not overall productive, right? It sounds like, is what I'm hearing, because it teaches you bad habits. But then finding out what is the thing that people need to buy to not, it's like that closet full of holsters that we all have a shame for, right?
Yep.
But like shortcutting to tools that actually help.
Yeah. And and what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for everybody else. I mean, granted,
No, for
and
sure.
we'll learn that when Paul and I start talking about it.
Yep,
So
agreed.
I know when it comes to dry fire, people look at it and they think, "Oh my goodness, that is so boring,
Boring.
boring, boring, boring. Like, is this even worth it? Is this even going to help me?" Did you guys ever had like that aha moment of like, actually, this is helpful? Like, did you see like any fruit from it, or you're just like, nope, I'm just going to be disciplined with it. I'm just going to keep going.
I will answer that. So in my situation, so my age, my lack of physicality because of injury, if
Hmm.
I don't dry fire, like I'm not a very stellar shooter right now. I'm not doing fantastic. I'm not where I'd like to be.
Dude, you're a
But
better shooter than me.
no, that's not.
I know. I was gonna say, like, wait,
That's not
what?
true.
Whatever.
No, that's not true.
Look, you got 21st out of what 90 something in our last match, and I got 44th, bro.
Well, I
Yeah,
understand
and I was
that.
gonna say that's 21st with a bunch of masters and GMs showing up to get qualified at a higher level or whatever, or A's, and yeah.
I appreciate that, guys. That's cool. But what I'm
I was
trying to
gonna say you're definitely a better shooter than me. Don't even. Or
that's not
you're a more consistent shooter than me. How
I
about that?
I am probably a more consistent shooter than you, Tyler, but I'm just going to tell you right now, if I had your talent, I'd win
Hmm.
those matches.
Yeah, no, that's my problem
I would
because
love to
I
see
I
you
know.
buckle down. It's this, and so you guys don't know at the pre of this when we're just chatting before we start recording, I caught Phil doing something that he shouldn't be doing that is detrimental to shooting because Phil is shooting really good too,
You
and
make it sound really naughty, by
it
the way.
wasn't naughty. It wasn't naughty. It's just a bad
It
practice.
is naughty. Shooting naughty.
Yeah, shooting naughty. So, like I'm saying, the three guys that are on this podcast, Paul is. I have watched Paul grow like crazy, and
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm
a
100%.
lot.
big time from that. And
Hmm.
if and just how I say things, to be honest, as soon as Paul gets out of his own way, he's going right straight to A and master. So
Oh yeah,
that's
no
how it is.
question.
So anyway, I don't even know what we were talking about. So
Dry fire. What was your aha moment for like, yeah, this is like an actual good training tool?
my
Or
aha
did when you
moment.
start seeing the aha moment, like when you finally start seeing the fruit of your dry fire?
Oh, okay. So one of the things that dry fire starts out that, like I'm saying, people don't think about footwork and things. We were doing a lot of steel challenge, which is a static shooting box. So who
Hmm.
cares? It was all about transitions. I
Yep.
pushed myself so hard on those transitions that at some point, I mean, there was times where I was able to shoot, I don't know, roundabout in 1.82 seconds. Things like
That's
that.
amazing.
Well, like I'm saying, that's muscle memory and that's doing it.
Mhm.
Here's the bad news, guys. Tyler was talking about it being boring. Yes, it can be boring, but if you stick with it, you will see results. Paul and I
Hmm.
are definitely products of that for sure. And like I'm saying, shooting static, doing all those things, you would kind of think that would carry over to USPSA, but there's times during off season that I dry fire like 14 hours a week. So,
Dang.
That's amazing.
well, like I'm
Wow.
saying, it's a commitment. You come
It
home,
is
you're
Yeah.
100%.
you know.
Which is,
So,
yeah. I
so
mean, which is also why, like I talk about how you are definitely, both you and Paul are definitely much more consistent shooters than me. And I will agree, like for me, it's definitely more of like a talent thing because, dude, I can't remember the last time I had like a serious dry fire routine and yet I just hit A class. Like it really is one of those situations of just talent, which I'm like, I know I could be so much better if I actually practiced more.
I,
So
I'm just telling you, if I hate saying that, but your speed, your abilities, your agility, your all those things, man, I would trade with you in a second, dude.
Yeah, your grip strength, I'd trade that all day to see the dot not leave the window.
oh yeah. Which is
uh,
it's I know. I'll admit I'm definitely very I'm very fortunate. I will admit that. And for those listening are probably like, dude, you're a jerk. I'm like, I know. I am. So but okay, so you say okay, that piques my interest, Brent.
Okay.
14 hours of dry fire. What does that look like?
Um, so in the off season when we're not, I mean, winter, things like that, um, my normal schedule, and I just got to look at it a second. Um, I would do something like I'm up at 5:00. I go out and ruck 3 to 5K, come back to in my gym for a quick workout. And that physicality, Tyler, all you guys know, that transmits to speed and accuracy.
100%.
Being fit. Of course, you're trying to watch your diet and things like that. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's a schedule of mine. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday are dry fire evenings. So I'll come home and dry fire in the evening. Saturday is usually some type of live fire workout if I can get to it, depending on the temperature and things like that. But if I can't, then that Saturday there will also be a dry fire session in there as well. And like I'm saying, it sounds like a lot of time, but when you get into it doing it, if you do 500 reps, it takes a while, The other thing that I do that maybe because it takes me longer is I actually collect the data from that. So some of the equipment I have allows me to collect my times. And so this drill, so I'm going to draw, shoot 2, reload, shoot 2. I mean, that one of my drills, I will actually be able to know what the time was on that. And I will record that. So I have a program, like a spreadsheet. I use a project management tool that I use at work and other places. So I'll record that. So I know back since, like 2017, what I did and how I did it, where I did it, what the times were and things like that. So I get to compare that against those things. And yeah, it's, yeah.
Wait, so
Brent,
Brent, you're only dry firing 3 to 4 times a week and you're hitting 14 hours?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
It's a lot at once, sounds like.
It is a lot at once.
It is. But like I'm saying, I might do 500 reps.
Wow.
In one session.
I will say, Brent, that actually explains a lot. You tend to be one of the shooters that I've noticed that is the least impacted by like match fatigue.
No, dude.
Like we'll be at the beginning of a match, and if your stuff runs, you perform the same at the end of the match.
Yes.
Which explains a whole lot, because if you're doing these like marathon dry fire shooting, like practices, I mean, you're already building that like longevity into your day and into like having like, pulling the gun from the holster, getting the sight picture, transitioning, moving, that kind of stuff. People don't think about it, but there are a lot of individuals who will drag at the end of a match just because they're not used to doing it.
I'm one of them. Like usually around stage 6 or 7 is when I'm just smoked. I'm like, I'm just done. So that's awesome.
That's about when Paul starts shooting.
Yeah, it's the hurdle, that morning hurdle for whatever. I gotta get out of my own head mainly, but yeah, that morning hurdle for me has always been rough.
Yep.
I love how this is like a therapy. This is like a therapy session
for me. For me, it's like the first 3 stages. I just rock it, and then afterwards, I'm like, yeah, you can kind of start seeing it. Then by like 6 or 7, it's like, what the heck, man? Tyler? What happened? It's like I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe if every match started at noon, I'd probably just better.
Never, dude.
No, never.
I know that you youngins. They're getting up 11.
Whatever. I get up at 10 o'clock, sir.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kidding. I don't.
Depends on what time of year it is for me, but
I do not.
You'll either see me up at 6 or you'll either see me up at 1
That's
p.m.
amazing.
Gosh.
Wow.
Dude, I can't. Dude, I would pay. Like, I'd be like, where am I?
My body will not let me do that.
I think I'm still young yet.
Is probably the latest. I'm like a year older than you.
What?
Wait, I think. Wait, how old are you again?
I'm 26.
I'm 2 years older than you.
Yeah.
Man, Tyler, you're old.
Yeah, I'm old.
I'm in my late 20s now. It's kind of weird. But okay. So what about you, Paul?
Children are older than both of you.
So, of course, we heard Brent, we heard your dry fire routine. What about you, Paul? What does that look like for you? How many hours are you putting? Do you track as well, or what does that look like?
So I don't track.
Okay.
But it's an hour a day, 7 days a week.
Nice.
It's
I like the consistency.
Hold on. Well, now that I've jumped back on the horse, as one could say, it's at an hour a week. or not an hour a day. Sorry, 7 days
Wow,
a
I'm like
week.
hour a day.
No, sorry,
Sounds
no, sorry.
nice.
And it's gotta be, and you guys touched on it. Like it can feel boring, but it's got to be an obsession. It's got to become an obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You jumping for me, getting back into that schedule was out of the frustration of just not reaching the goals that I wanted to. And I'm fortunate enough to have enough of a little bit of enough income where I'm actually paying for Steve Anderson's Insiders Club.
That's cool.
It's and so I had that comes, you get one monthly phone call, and first month I literally had finally got one schedule with him, and I had a conversation with him. He was like, because prior to this I was only doing 30 minutes every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is during my working season, so it was kind of just me trying to try to force it in rather than like wanting it to happen, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, to be quite frank, you're living a C-class life.
Yeah. That's good for him for saying
that. I mean, he's nonchalant about it, and he's upfront, and he tells you. The nice thing is that he just told me straight up, like, if you want to meet your goals, you kind of have to change this practice schedule.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it, and so I just jumped on it. I'm an hour a day. I mean, and we could argue, and I think there's something to be said, like maybe, and I think for most people it'll be easier to get through some of these longer durations, right? Like, especially if you're talking 2 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Not as condensed as Brent, right? But if you do 2 sessions a day, that is a ton of work that you've done in just 2 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps keep the learning and the learning aspect of it. It helps keep you focused when you're doing it multiple times a day rather than only doing it once and
Mm-hmm.
kind of having the longer marathon. I it's that comes kind of from my classical music background.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there is a point of no return, or there's a point of diminishing returns, and it tends to be much steeper than most people think. So if you want to do like an hour or 2 hours and it feels really long, try to break that up into two sessions, because you're going to get a lot more out of it being focused for that 30 minutes or an hour versus trying to slog through something for 2 hours plus.
I would venture to say that Paul may be ahead of me in the game because he's every day.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying, I've looked at that before. I don't think my schedule would really allow me to do that. And just for the record, I have to, like, when I get done with what's planned for my training that night, I want to go more. I want to do it more.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Very, very rarely do I put my stuff away and go, man, that was brutal. I don't want to do that anymore. That's
okay. So, question on that. That's impressive, number one, because I understand like people get like a high, like a runner's high or whatever, you get going, you kind of get into a groove, right? But are you setting up like your environment around you, like music, like it's just you, doors are closed, there's no dogs or wife around, like how are you creating an environment for yourself to continue to want to keep moving forward?
Well, the one point, I'm super blessed. November of 22, my wife and I moved into a house that I came from a condo from basically where I was going to retire to, and I didn't have a lot of space. And so I was in the basement doing stuff like that in our kind of like family room. I have an amazing gun room, my own bathroom, my own little family room, a gym, with all the equipment that I need.
Sounds like a man cave.
It is really beautiful, guys. I am so
blessed. Setup, man.
I've seen it. Tyler's
seen it. Sweet setup.
I'm super blessed.
Yeah.
So like all my targets are on the walls. They're always on the walls. I walk out. I have I actually, how I do my data entry is in my computer. So I set my computer on a music stand. There you go, Paul. That's an old musician. On a music stand, and like I'll run my thing, whatever drill that was, check my time, enter that time, run it again, all those things. It becomes a dance. And I loved Paul's he talks about music, and not only being a musician, but he's also a music teacher. And I come from 28 years of playing music, and there's a thing that he's talking about, like when I was really digging into the drums when I was a young man, like you'd play for 20, 30 minutes, just do something that you should do, play along with something, or do run some chops or whatever you're doing. And if you could get yourself, like, you'd start thinking about it like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go sit on that kit for another 20 minutes. And I found that to be really, really valuable. And I think it's the same thing. So Paul may be ahead of me on the 1 hour a day thing. And I don't know, now that I'm hearing that, I might try to change that schedule around.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with, of course, you guys have very different schedules.
Oh.
So I guess my first question for you, Paul, well, I know in terms of like your dry fire routine, rather, Paul, with you every single day, do you have like Mondays are my speed days, Tuesdays are acquisitions, Wednesdays it's a grip? Like, do you have like a specific day for each thing, or is it
Leg
just like
day.
Yeah, for me, coming from like a powerlifting, bodybuilding context, like that's what I think of. Like I have a specific day for each day, or you're just like you just have drills and you just know what you're gonna do. Like what does that look like?
Yeah. So my setup is much simpler than Brent's.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm a little fortunate in that I don't have as much space as he does, but I'm able to achieve a lot of what I want to do, and even I could probably, depending on how much movement Brent does, I could probably replicate a lot of what he's doing, depending, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much movement. But for me, I have two dry fire locations. It is mainly depends on kind of where I want to be and when I do it. I have
Mm-hmm.
one which is in my computer room, which I'm sitting at now. It's a much smaller room. It's a little bit more constrained, but I know exactly where 10 feet is.
Gotcha.
And I run through. I have a. I know all my part times I need to hit, so I have my timer. And for all the listeners, like you can, any of the reliable uh, shooting timers on the market typically will get you there. You could drop one of the big name brands and it'll hit you there, or it'll get you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd run through the drills. So um, I have explored a tiny bit on on books. Um, like I know Brent mentioned Mike Seeklander. I started with the Steve Anderson Refinement Repetition book. The first 12 is mostly like the quote unquote classifier oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At least at the time of the book being written and printed. Um, uh, but he has also talked about how to adapt some of them to kind of what we're seeing now. And I also have the Ben Steger practical shooting training book. That one is a bit much for me, having read through it and looked
Really,
at it.
dude? Because I love that. I have that in my hand right now.
Paul,
Well,
Yeah,
I'm actually glad to hear Paul say that, because I have that book, and honestly, I had such a hard time getting into dry fire because of that book.
yeah.
really?
So
Because it was a lot, and I was like, dude, this is way more than I need. Like, I need a good starting.
Okay.
And actually, I do want to ask that later on in the podcast. Like, how do you get started? How
yeah,
do you make it simple? And
Well,
work
there's
into
4
that?
levels in that book, so I thought maybe you'd pick one.
the problem is there is also, at least in that book, there is an expectation that you become a high round count shooter.
Yes, you are right.
And as someone like I said, just money has, being frugal is always in the first thing of my mind. I think any responsible adult, that is just something that you think about. And I got to where I am on 99% dry fire, and Brent and Phil can attest to that, because you guys have
Yeah.
both seen me at my first match ever, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think I've actually ever hit. I don't even think I've hit a 10,000 rounds yet. in 5 years.
Really?
Wow.
Oh wow.
I don't think so. Like, assuming at most I think only 1 year I've shot 2,000 rounds, and everything else has been below that. So I'm probably close, but I don't think I've hit a 10,000 yet.
Jeez.
And it makes it good for wear and tear in your firearms.
Oh, it's great.
So.
It's great. I never had to replace a trigger return spring.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. But so basically, like I said, all the drills are basically 7 to 10 yards, or in this case, because of the scales, it's 7 to 10 feet. I think most people can get to that. And then I have 3 just open targets. And I run through the drills. For example, the first one is sight picture confirmation. That's at 7 yards, and then I just go through it for the hour, and I'm constantly looking at bringing my part time down. So things like, for example, my draw at 10 yards from wrist below belt. That's at a point that I'm at 0.5 seconds right now, which is on the beep. I can grab the gun and I don't have. Most of these drills, I don't even have to press the trigger because that's not the point. That's not the goal of a lot of these drills. So it's out of the on the beep, out of the holster, sights in the center of the A zone in 0.5 seconds, not pulling the trigger.
That's insane. That's awesome.
And I think, you guys were joking about it earlier about, like you see some guys like, what they do is like they'll pull the trigger and then they'll rack a live round out during live fire because they're so used to doing that in dry.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have never seen that. I don't. I hope not. I don't. I was supposed
to say, Brent, as an instructor, he's probably seen it.
As a instructor in another field, I've already seen enough.
That's valid. That's fair enough. I love that.
The my surrender, which is wrist above shoulders, that's also at a 0.5 right now. I just kind of you run through those drills and you're always thinking about trying to bring that part time down. And this is a little bit more on the mental side and the philosophical side, but I'm constantly dry firing in something called speed mode, which again, this is a Steve Anderson thing. So I apologize if like you don't like that and you don't like the whole thing, whatever. But there is my predetermined goal for each drill is not necessarily always having that dot in the center A zone perfectly with ready to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
That comes as your body gets faster on its own naturally. Right? So like when I was first doing dry firing a draw in half a second, I didn't necessarily always see the dot where I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know how fast you're going, or you don't know how to go that fast until you've gone that fast.
Interesting.
That's fair.
That, Paul, I think you may have just rocked my world a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, because my biggest issue I always had with dry fire was like an issue I have with shooting as well too, is that I only go at the speed where I think I can. Yeah, whereas I know Tyler's laughing. Thanks, Tyler.
No, it's because I have a different perspective because it's one of those. Well, I'll let you go, and then I will add to what I'm about to say. We'll keep going, bud.
I was going to say that, like, for me, I'm like, well, this is the fastest I can go. And if I go any faster, I'm going to get out of control. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's a mental issue that I need to get over. So Paul pointing out that, no, just do it as fast, like set your shot timer to that 0.5 or whatever it is that you want to get to, mm-hmm. and then be really bad at it until you're not.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, even I don't necessarily make like big jumps, right? Like I didn't go from like a 2-second draw to a half a second draw and right away. It's mm-hmm. you kind of break it up into small increments, and eventually your body it just moves at that speed, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you'll start to see, and then that dot will start to come up. You'll start to see a flash of red. You'll start to see, a line of red. Eventually you'll start to see the dot. in that, and it's like I said, it's I rep that. So if I'm like, say for example, if I want to get below a second, right? I'm at a second right now with my draws. I take that time, maybe kick it down on the timer, maybe 0.1 or 0.2, kind of depending on just how things are feeling for yourself at the time. So 0.1, 0.2, and then my only one goal is get the gun out and point it at the target. That's my goal, right? So you just keep doing it, and then you do it until you can't not do it, I guess, like until it becomes a subconscious performance.
Yeah. I think
and then the dot comes back. Once you can see the dot every single time, now you know that you can do a 0.9 or a 0.8 second draw subconsciously without having to work for it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that was something years ago I might have heard from Lucas Botkin of all, which I guess makes sense because he's a fast shooter. So because for me, speed is just very natural to me. So it might have been a very intuitive thing for me because that was when I was more serious about dry fire. That's just what I did. I wanted to see how fast can I push it, how fast I can pedal it to where I just can't do it anymore. Then I'll slow it back down and try to be consistent with that, and then keep pushing forward later on.
Okay, so Paul, I have a question, man. So you're doing this draw, which is fantastic, and this is Steve's tutelage, right? What
yes.
He's teaching? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing this. You're not pressing trigger.
No.
You're seeing dot on target, and you're happy with it, right? So what is confirming that for you? For me, that I need confirmation on that from the standpoint of what I'm going to do with my trigger, how I'm going to prep that, how I'm going to get to the wall, what my break is, and things like that. Are you doing any of that in your dry fire?
So I'm prepping the trigger.
Okay.
But I'm not pulling because a huge problem just in shooting in general is people will just pull the trigger and not have a good sight picture. They'll pull triggers on bad sight pictures and they'll wonder why they missed the target.
Okay.
Even at 7 yards, or for example, a really great one is that USPSA classifier, Can You Count? Where like if you have, I'm sure Phil, he could probably touch the front target from the box. You know what I'm saying?
Lying. Yeah.
It's because I am literally Inspector Gadget.
Yeah. And and there are videos out there, or there have been eyewitnesses out there where you see people do this classifier and they will get a D class run with like 2 no shoots or like 2 mics, even that close, because they're pulling the trigger on a poor sight picture.
Okay.
You pulling the trigger is not dictated by the draw or how it's dictated by your sights being on target,
right,
where you want them to be.
Right,
but so you don't ever have to pull the trigger.
So my contention on that, and like I'm saying, if we've got different, let's call it philosophies, and even for those trainings, what happens when you press trigger? What kind of deviation happens to your sight is, I don't even know how to explain that. It is everything: poor grip, poor stance, a bad trigger press, with poor sight alignment. You're screwed. I mean, all the things.
For basically the better you get as a shooter, the more likely a bad shot is because of a poor sight picture. The closer you are to a beginner, the worse, the more likely it is a bad trigger pull.
Well, I train people that have never touched a gun before, and that's 100% the problem. So I know what you're talking about. Somebody that's seasoned, that gets their gun out good. They've got a good grip. They got a prep trigger. They see their sights and they break the shot. That I get that. As far as the dry fire part of it, I wasn't necessarily knowing how you're confirming that, because how do I say this nicely? People lie to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And so, if you are not brutally honest with yourself and you say, draw points, oh yeah, that was a good, I had sights on target and my trigger was prepped. boy, I could tell myself that all day long. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
for me, and I'm not saying that's you, for me, I need confirmation of that. Thus the equipment that I have.
So, sorry, go ahead, Paul, real quick. I actually want to start diving into that a little bit, but go ahead and finish your thought, Paul.
No, I was just saying, like, it completely depends. So, like for you and I, Brent, or even just the four of us here, we don't necessarily need to. The goal of, like, for example, just a simple draw drill like that, either hands above shoulders or hands below belt, or wrist below belt. I mean, it's not. Our goal isn't necessarily about pulling the trigger. The goal is to get your draw times down, right? And then your shot is dictated by your sights.
Mm-hmm.
For a beginner, I think we can even simplify dry fire even more, where you spend a little bit of time just putting your sights on a target or on a spot, and then just pulling the trigger and seeing how that dot reacts when you pull the trigger.
Oh, certainly. Yep, we do that quite a bit.
And so, but I think it's a different level of how we're judging success here, Brent. I think it's really
I
what
totally
it
get
is.
it, Paul. Seriously. I mean, obviously this is working for you, young man, because you're shooting great. So
yeah, I've jumped around to different methodologies, and I've landed back to where I started, and because it works.
Excellent.
So we've covered a lot of really great insights when it comes to dry fire, a lot of really thoughtful discussion from everyone. Like legitimately, I've learned a ton already just having this conversation tonight. But one thing that I know that was kind of burning in my mind for this, because I don't dry fire like hardly at all, right? It just that's on me, and it's something I've always really wanted to get into, right? So we've answered a lot of questions along, like how do you get into it, what you should practice, how do you stay interested, and that kind of stuff. But for somebody who is like a C-class shooter, who's like, hey, I want to start doing better at this, and I want to start like really dry firing, but I don't even know where to start. Like kind of, and I question is, I want to start with Brent on this one. Like, how do I? And we covered some materials already, but how do I go from like wanting to get into it and then getting into a routine, right? And so, and I want to, Brent, hopefully you can touch on uh, things like equipment that you should invest in early on, equipment maybe later that you can get that makes more sense, right? We've talked a little bit about books, right? But what are those like basic things I should focus on right off the bat as well, too, from like an actual dry fire perspective?
Well, like I was saying, you need no equipment. You need your firearm. You need an empty gun, empty magazines. Yep. So you can go and do that. The stuff that Paulie's touched on is fantastic. Even the like he's saying, obviously speed out of the holster. That gains us time. That gets us pressing trigger quicker. So being honest with you on the sights, if you happen to run a gun that is double action and you want to drop a laser bullet in there, one of the things that just marks your target. Not a lot of us. I mean, there's a lot of striker fire. Paul, is your platypus a double action? Like, can you shoot that thing with a?
No, but okay. My Beretta was.
Oh, your Beretta. That's right. That's what I was thinking of. Yep. So people that have that thing, and it's not a bad thing because it's a big long trigger press, and so it teaches you to be, let's say, disciplined. Although the next shot you'd prep a trigger differently, so there's nuances to it. As far as the question you're asking, Phil, nothing. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to manipulate the stuff and be methodical about your mechanics at first. Most people are going to, and I run into this too. Like I have to force myself to do like 20 warm-ups of something. So like a typical start for me, warm-up would be hands below belt, draw 2 shots, perfect form. I try to go at 50% of my speed because I want that perfect grip. I want to join those hands perfectly at the perfect spot. I want to push that gun out and find that dot, press that trigger. So I want to go slow, because if I don't do that and I get into doing that drill, hands below belt, 2 shots after the draw, I will find myself racing and I'm like, oh, I've got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And
really quick question on the 2 shots thing.
Yeah.
Because you shoot Glock, and as soon as you if you have a racked, as soon as you pull the trigger, you have a dead trigger after that, right?
They do make a magazine for Glocks that allow that. It's called a reset magazine, so that trigger will press, and
Gotcha.
The problem with it is it doesn't reset the striker, so you can't get you couldn't get a laser to bite on it. You know what I'm saying?
But if you wanted to,
mags, right?
What's that?
You're talking about like those dry fire mags, right?
Yeah, dry fire mags. Which
I have one. They're okay. It works. It gets the job done.
It gets your trigger reset, certainly. So
yeah, okay, that was my question, because like for me, I was always like, okay, well, I draw, as soon as I pull the trigger, I've got it, like, you know, the trigger's still there. It's just doesn't feel like a normal trigger pull, right?
Yeah. So like the thing for me, finish your question, Phil. I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, sorry, real quick, and I interrupted you, but again, I guess it was a question that was burning in my mind. Again, it was just how do you simulate that trigger reset, right? Because like a big part of it is pulling the trigger, right? Making sure that you're doing it right.
So let me back up. So like your original question was, how do I get started? So like Paul's saying, that draw, and if you're taking the next step and you are pressing the trigger, you could have a laser bullet in there, and you could do whatever it is that you mark the target, or you can be honest with yourself on what happened to your sights for real. So it's usually just a one-shot thing. So you can reset your gun, like, okay, everything's done, unload, show clear, and then it's almost like a restart, okay, with your beep or whatever you're doing with your PAR. So you can get away with that. For me, because of wanting to take that experience further, I do want the 2 shots. Just about everything I do is a 2-shot drill. Okay. I have equipment that allows me to have blowback on my gun to report on target. And another thing that I do with my targets, which may sound weird, you guys have all heard the aim small, miss small type thing.
Yeah.
So all the A zones on my targets, whether it's full size or all the way down to quarter, I have highly reflective paper or plastic or some type of sticker on it. So when my laser hits that, there's no doubt that I hit A zone. It flashes the room, so to speak. On top of that, I have probably a 1/4-inch red dot in the center of that A zone, and that's always going to be my aim point, so that I'm aiming small. And the problem that I have had in the past is, which sounds really funny, is I'm pretty sure my sights were on there. Well, actually, my laser dot hit the little opaque, kind of reddish dot, so it didn't light up the room. So I'm like, oh crap, But so the things that I do with that, I tend to be one of those guys that takes stuff to kind of weird extremes, as far as gear and what I have. And I think your question probably, Phil, is like, what am I doing? Is that what it is?
Yeah, like how are you simulating that, like those 2 shots, right?
All right. Well, listen closely, guys.
Airsoft gun.
Yeah, it sounds like an airsoft gun, but that is actually a thing called Cool Fire Trainer. It's a CO2 barrel that goes into your firearm, so you have your optics, your weight, your trigger press, all of those things. It does have a screw-on, basically laser that goes on it that is adjustable. By the way, you can manipulate that thing so that it lands where your dot is on the target. So it's pretty nice. So I use that. I also use a double alpha watch for my timer. By doing that, the accelerometer on it, I think that's what you call it. Accelerometer? Is that a word? I think so.
It sounds right.
Okay. I can set that up so that as that action is happening in my hand, plus the sensitivity of the sound, I actually pick up my shots. That's where I get my data from. So
that's cool.
But I literally can start out with a pistol, run a drill, something like that, look at my watch, copy that data and stuff. There's disadvantages with the Cool Fire. You get 20, 25 shots out of it before you have to refill it. But the truth of the matter is that's not a bad thing, because it makes your brain shut out and say, okay, what did I do wrong on that set? Where am I going? How do I need to get there? So you go fill your gun up. So I have several of those Cool Fire trainers for my, they're gun specific. They are expensive. There's no lie about that. So I've got it for a couple of my Glocks, the different barrel systems. obviously I've already got the fill system as far as, it works for all of them. On top of that, and we're just talking about USPSA, so we'll leave that. A typical training for me is as a warm up. I'll do 15, 20 warm ups where I'm talking about hands below belt, 2 shots, perfect form. And like I'm saying, if I don't run a perfect form, I'm like, okay, you idiot, that was not perfect. Holster that thing and do it again. So a warm up for me is hands below, 2 shots is 225, something like that. So draw, pow, and like I'm saying, I find that since I've started doing this, my double taps are much quicker, much faster, and much more accurate, as opposed to getting in the habit of just firing that one shot. So there's a disadvantage. When I get into, I don't even have any data on that right in front of me, but when I get into that, so a typical training system is the warm up. So my next one would be hands below belt, 2 shots T1, move, reload, 2 shots T2. So the targets that I have spread out. So I'm doing that, whatever that drill was, and it depends on, of course, how far you have to go. But so that's 493, 498, 485, stuff like that as far as time. The next drill of that, and of course I'm doing this like 50 times. Okay. Hands below belt, 2 shots T1, reload, 2 shots strong hand, reload, 2 shots weak hand. So that comes out to be 770, 857, some of the times that are in that. So I have those times to go back and look at it, because these drills will reset themselves as far as, like, I have a whole bunch of them. How do I say that? I have a whole bunch of training sessions with these drills, and then I mix them all up in there. Another one would be, so I'm starting with hands and surrender, 2 shots, perfect form. That's my warm up. The next drill is hands. Well, I call it above shoulders, stepping draw, 2 shots, left to right. So I'm basically moving left to right on my draw, like we would start in a USPS match. You're starting outside of the shooting area and you got to get into it. Make sense? Yes. I do that same thing. I do it right to left. I do it forward to backwards or backwards to forwards. Maybe 2 shots T1, reload, 2 shots T2, to finish up, something like that. And then it kind of gets bonkers after that. But I keep cycling those through, and like saying that may be, I may do each one of those drills 50 times the first time through, and maybe 75 the next time through, and 100 times the next. And so it's not uncommon for me to draw 500 times in a session.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Well, the thing about it is with my equipment, guys, and it does take longer. So like I'm saying, so when I say I dry fire 14 hours, because I'm collecting data, like I'm literally reaching over to my computer and going, and dropping in 3 numbers in a decimal. So obviously it's taking me longer. So my 14 hours, yeah, that sounds like a lot, but press and trigger, it's probably only 13 hours or 12 hours or something like that. So, and when you finish that out, how do you say that? There's times where I will also do something fun. Like I'll set up a course in my basement, because I got 4 rooms that I can go through. So, well, like I'm saying,
you turn the lights off too.
Yeah,
like clear your basement,
right
LARP your basement.
Night vision on. No,
let's go.
So like I might do that. I might run that 25 times, where you go through it and you think, okay, well, if I move this way and I got to reload here and I've got to move over there, but then just crazy stuff like that I put into scenario. One of the things that we forget about with dry fire is footwork, and Mike Seeklander is very good at that, about teaching that and how you get over that, and then just doing it. Like, boy, what's my example? What did we have this last week that I shot completely different than you guys? Do you remember what that was? So one of you guys said something to me like, I'd have never thought of doing it that way. Well, that's because of looking at the you guys are faster on your feet. I'm not. I don't have that footwork.
Oh, so I know which one
exactly. I can't remember which one it is, but I do remember.
So it was the one we started downrange, right?
No, it was the one with the Tyler likes to mention. The one that's going left is 6 feet, going right is 10 feet, and then you started instead of both. I mean, I know I started right to left, but you started in the middle. You engaged the first 3 targets, one of which was a partial with the no shoot. You went left.
Okay.
You went left, and then you went all the way across to finish the last open targets.
And I shot the far back targets from the back, so I didn't have to engage them, and I could shoot move. Yeah. So, and like you're saying, that came out good for me. Well, in your dry fire, when you're working on your footwork, most people's dry fire is not that. So not thinking about that, not thinking about how you cross step, not thinking about the fact that in another place that we fall down, how many times do we see people, right-handed shooters moving left, not being able to do a reload, left-handed shooters moving right, not being able to do a reload because they're not working on their footwork. They're not working on their, I don't know what you call it, their tapioca step or whatever it is. I don't know. So I work on that stuff because I am very limited with the injuries that I have as far as like my legs and knees and things like that. And so I have to work I have to think about that. Like I'm thinking more about my footwork than my freaking target acquisitions.
And then, which makes a lot of sense.
Right. And so, and there's always target acquisitions. I'll go from, basically 12 o'clock to, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock as far as targets, so that I've got far swings, so that, all that muscle memory, what you're doing, moving your eyes first. There's a zillion things you could do. And we haven't even talked about other platforms when I start bringing the shotgun out and the AR out. So, and from that standpoint, I have a Mantis for my AR, so I still get target report. It doesn't mark time because it, doesn't have any noise or doesn't make any movement. So most of the drills that I build, guys, on that, I either start out pistol, holster, AR, back to pistol, so I get a timestamp, or vice versa on something like that. So, okay. So there's that in a nutshell. Any questions?
So what I'm hearing is I need my kids to move away so I can have all this free time.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So here's the problem with the house that I got.
There's no problem. That sounds awesome.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. My wife loves it. I love it. All these things. I have such a great place. But it is a time suck, man. There is grass and flowers and this and that. And blah, blah, blah,
I was gonna say you've got a beautiful yard, man.
Yeah.
I choose to ignore my yard. I've got kids and too many hobbies.
Yep. That's amazing. You know what? That's good. That's up to you. But no,
it gets mowed.
Yeah, we're living the good life. My wife has it looking so nice around here. I hope to have you guys out soon, all y'all.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I want to see the shooting range in the basement, bro. That's awesome.
I want to see the home gym.
Yeah, if we were doing video, I'd show it to you right now. There you go.
The one thing I want to look into, actually, and maybe I'll do it if we do end up going over to your place sometime, is I want to make an investment in the VR training.
I am
for
close.
shooting.
I am close on.
I have the headset already.
My
wife won a headset, so all I need to do is just get the program and the adapters for the controllers.
Okay, so
I'm stopping you.
Let's rabbit trail here a second.
I don't know.
So
after this, Brent's gonna send me everything I need to know.
You don't necessarily have to, but YouTube. How do you spell YouTube?
YOUTUBE.
I haven't hit any of the buttons right yet. Hold on.
Interneting is hard, bro.
It's hard. Well, it's underneath. I got this weird desk in my shop. So, so there's a dude. Check this out. His name is Blackout Ballistics. Is that him?
We had him out on the podcast.
That's not the guy then.
No, yeah, that's a different dude.
He's like the.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does VR stuff.
Well,
I'm sorry. Custom tactical design. So there's a dude on YouTube.
There you go.
He builds. Oh, excuse me. He builds all this stuff for those VR guns, weighted guns that your controller snap on, removable and resettable magazines for some of the guns.
Cool. Wow.
That ACE shooting program, one of the guys, I think his name is, I'm going to dig it up.
What was that site real quick? Sorry,
let me go back to it. It is Custom Tactical Designs.
Okay.
So it's at Custom Tactical Designs 1, the number 1.
Nice.
So that's the thing. So one of the guys is Matthew Little, that I've read a lot of his books. He's this really cool trainer. He is big into that ACE, that VR trainer thing. I want one. That's all
Yeah, no kidding.
I just would like to say, so the biggest issue I have with it, and also the Cool Fire Trainer, and also a visible laser, it's not necessary. One, it's not necessary, and two, I find that it. I also own a simulator. It's not the Ace VR thing, but it's it obviously it becomes more of it comes a game, and obviously you can tailor things to it. But the other issue with the Cool Fire that I find is that and with the visible laser is the Cool Fire doesn't really replicate recoil the way you want it to. I mean, especially at the time I bought it, I thought it would help me fix my grip issues. It did not, and it very much it makes your gun feel like an airsoft gun. The sight tracks perfectly up and down; it barely moves. I very distinctly remember doing a plate rack much quicker than I could with live ammo.
So you're running a simulator, correct?
Yes, okay. But I also had a visible laser, and I think it's a rabbit hole that people can fall into, especially maybe beginners, where the laser. The problem is people start looking at the laser rather than calling their shot and knowing where their shots have gone.
So you want the answer to that, Paul? No, I'm serious. So the other thing I didn't even talk to you about is one of the things that we own at Liberty and Freedom. It's called the smokeless range. It's LASR, the laser system. So I think I have the smokeless range at home. Okay, you have that laser system?
Not the laser system, but the simulator.
Okay, so this particular thing, you can make a target out of anything. You can set up this camera in your house. You can make light switches, pots, pans, the lamp over in the corner. You can make anything a target by just circling it, putting it in. Yeah. The thing that I went to, because I know exactly what you're talking about relying on counting your shot or hitting your shots or calling your shots. I went to an IR, so you can't see the laser, but the machine picks it up.
Yeah.
So
it's the biggest thing though is like when Phil had mentioned kind of like getting started, like realistically, like you were saying, like it's essentially almost free, where all you need is your rig and an empty gun. Even I don't think it's in a part-time. I wanted to kind of add to that, like a part-time. Like either a part-time app on your phone, maybe. I don't personally have ever used one, so I can't speak to it. But getting a part-timer is an eventual thing. I think even if you don't have a way to kind of get the times that you're getting, Brent, having something measurable, and I don't even think you need to be as specific as you are, where as long as you know that, like, say for example, if I have to do a turn and draw, and I have my part time set to 0.8, and I can do it at a point, and I can complete the action within a 0.8, then I can just keep bumping the time, and that's essentially my data.
Oh no, you are completely right. You and I are at the two different ends of the spectrum on this. Yeah, and like I'm saying, neither one of them is wrong in how we're doing that. Of course, you are at the. You don't need any money to do what you're doing. You need your rig and an empty gun. So it's fantastic.
I will say it's not seeing how cheap the scaled targets are. I can't say that spending the $20 it will cost you to get a package of scaled targets is a worth it. Like it's actually a pretty great investment.
Oh,
for
sure.
$20. I don't think, but realistically, I don't think you need much more than that.
You don't.
And you were saying, like, thinking about movement. like doing all the same drills, but like adding a step forward, backward, left, right, whatever direction is also a great way to do it. And you don't need a lot of space.
No, you don't.
But I just don't think, I personally don't subscribe to a lot of the other training aids. I understand like holding off on buying a timer in general though, because I mean I think the cheapest one you can get is like $200.
What?
When did that much now? Seriously?
I mean, right? I mean, how
Dang.
what's the blue timer? Isn't that one
I don't know.
like the cheapest one on the market?
I have a pack timer, and I think that cost me like $80 when I got it.
Oh, was it 80? Okay.
Yeah,
pack that was okay.
So pack timer's $130 right now.
Oh, okay.
Across the board. Yeah, they've gone up quite a bit.
Yeah,
crazy.
Inflation. I have a very fancy like Shooters Global one that picks up like I could go to Brent's house and I can give him all the numbers he wanted. This like just like he does with my Shooters Global, because it can pick up like airsoft and stuff like that, like very quiet rounds. But
Paul, do you not use like a dry fire mag or anything?
No, I don't, and I don't, and even when I'm pulling the trigger, right? Like Brent really loves like pulling the trigger, having that kind of confirmation. Even the drills that I do pull the trigger on, which is 6 reload 6, and the variations of that, which is 3 targets, 2 shots each, reload 2 shots each. Even that, like I'm always shot calling. So I'm always calling my shot, because it's actually easier to shot call when you're doing it dry, because your sights are because you always see where your sights are, and you always see what your sights are doing when you pull the trigger, because if there's movement, it's not like it left the window because of recoil. It's
okay,
there.
So yeah, and like saying, we're not, just for the record, everybody that's listening, Paul and I aren't on each other on this. That's not the case at all. We do things differently. That's all.
No, and that's actually why I'm glad that you guys do, because I think each person is different. So for like myself, I need a tactile feedback. That's been my biggest difficulty with like dry firing. Even just using a dry fire mag would be huge for myself. So actually, I was just looking at
buying get you a dry fire mag for your birthday.
They're expensive, dude.
Isn't there slop in the trigger? Isn't there slop in the trigger after when it goes dead?
I've never used one, so I don't know.
Say it again.
So like when you on an empty gun, at least on both my Beretta and my Platypus, there's like dead slop when the trigger is dead. So like for example, like on the Beretta, you pull through the double action, and then you basically, if you're doing subsequent shots, you're pulling the trigger within the area that it hasn't reset yet.
Oh, you're talking about for like just a regular gun.
Yeah,
like you can articulate the trigger on a most non-Glock pistols.
But and then my Platypus, there's
Smith & Wesson does, but of course me having a Glock clone, no.
Then on the Platypus, there's no movement front and back when you pull the trigger when the trigger is dead, but like the trigger moves. Like it's not like it's so tight of a tolerance that it can't.
Right. You just don't get the full experience of the trigger breaking.
I don't, but I also don't think you need that.
Okay, so yeah, like saying, once again, different philosophies on that. I'm looking to manipulate that trigger as many times as possible and know it intimately. So so when you're doing your 6.6, Paul, you're the only time that you're really getting a live trigger is basically that first trigger manipulation, right?
Yeah, okay. But I'm pulling a trigger. I'm just pulling a dead trigger, and
but if it's not reset, then it's not in the same place, right? Or is yours?
But when you let off the trigger, are you riding the trigger reset?
I'm doing this.
Well, obviously I can't see, but like,
he's using his cool fire.
My cool fire. So
yeah, but you're not. Are you riding the reset? I guess is.
Define riding the reset.
So, are you, when you press the trigger and you follow the way through, do you keep your finger on the trigger all the way back until it resets and then pulling again?
I'm running 2 shots as quickly as possible. At sometimes I'm at like 0.12.
Yeah, and when you let the trigger reset, is your finger on the trigger the whole time, or are you letting go of the trigger, letting the trigger reset, and then pulling again?
Well, I mean, yes, I have to reset it to get that second shot for sure. Yes. So
Well,
I guess I don't understand the question.
It's the biggest
I
problem
know what
is
you're talking about,
so
but keep going.
the biggest issue is like like what I mean by riding the reset is you're physically in contact with the trigger from the moment the shot breaks all the way till the trigger goes with the trigger all the way going forward until it resets, and then you're pulling again.
Yeah, I'm manipulating reset, but I don't have to let in my Glocks, I don't have to let that trigger go to reset that. I can be on the, let's call it the front side of the wall very quickly.
So I let go of the trigger all the way.
I see.
So when
you take your finger off, is that what you're saying?
I let the trigger return spring, push the thing forward. My finger is now on the trigger because by the time my finger is coming back, the trigger is already reset. I'm just prepping again.
Yes. So early on for me, since I got this from both Scott Jedlinski of Modern Samurai Project and of course John Lovell, when I was kind of learning trigger pulls was always like a prep stop, easy, off on. But my finger's always in contact with my trigger.
Sure.
I'm just never holding it. Of course, with USPSA is being as fast as I can, because for me it's like prep stop, easy, off on. So, but my finger's always on my trigger no matter what.
Yeah,
even in the reset.
Yeah, mine is not on during the reset. It gets back on.
That is very interesting.
But it's
so you're doing, so it's more of a, and this is not a bad term. So it's more of a slap for you.
No,
as far as it's
not slap. I'm not slapping the trigger. I'm prepping every time.
So you're letting go of the trigger all the way and then coming back to the wall for your prep and then taking your second shot. So what kind of splits are you getting?
When I'm live and I can get close and it's 0.2s. I can get 0.2s because that's predictive shoot. That's the limit of human function. But it depends on shot difficulty. When we talk about split, like now we have to venture into different areas.
So I guess my question is maybe what Brent is getting at, like if you ride the reset on the trigger, the trigger is resetting and moving your finger forward, right? Versus like you're actually moving your own finger forward and then pulling the trigger again.
Well, that's the issue with that is that trigger return spring isn't heavy enough to actually push your finger forward though.
No, you're like we're saying, you're letting it come forward, but I'm not coming off of it because I'm going to be on the front side of that wall. I'm not going to have to let that trigger go, bring the wall back. So, so when you say you're letting it go, you're not. So you're totally taking your finger off the trigger and then going back to prep and then press.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm going to watch that next time you shoot live.
I know.
Same.
I'm really
me too.
Curious,
I'm very fascinated by that.
Yeah. Well, I know I can. I mean, it's just the way I've been practicing.
Fantastic.
I think what I'm hearing is we need to.
All that's a simple. Go for it, Phil. I'm interrupting.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say we all need to go do a range day and
actually watch each other.
Yeah, I know. And try to correct some of these things.
Such different philosophies. Either philosophies, good habits, bad habits, or just different ways. Because this is fascinating to me because I've never even caught that.
Yeah.
But interesting.
And then even
when are you guys free next?
Well, that's all the time. When are you free next, Tyler?
That's valid.
I'm free all the time.
I know you're not.
But I mean, I think just to circle back, it's really about. I don't obviously everything we've kind of said has been in a USPSA context, but you can do pretty much everything that we've done that we talked about in a carry rig.
Sure,
there's nothing that can stop you, and
that's even my context because for me, I practice whenever I dry fire a more concealed carry stuff. That's what I prefer to do, which is why Phil knows this. But I have a faster draw from concealment than I do my USPSA.
Why aren't you shooting appendix then?
Nah, it's too much work.
Well, I'm wondering, Tyler, if that's still the case, given your performance over the last match.
That's valid
from the hip.
Because I do know that from concealment, probably the best I've ever done with live fire, not with dry, but with live fire from concealment was like a 0.88.
Mm.
So, which I'm extremely happy. Anything sub-second, I'm already happy.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
Yeah.
and from concealment, I'm pretty happy with that.
No, I mean, sub-second and concealment is fantastic. Like, I don't think anybody can argue that. At least I would hope not.
Yeah, I know,
They wouldn't
right?
do it for very many seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Tyler, there used to be some, I forget where I heard it, but there was some, oh no, maybe it's Hunter Constantine in his video. Somebody's paying people to like shoot concealed in USPSA matches.
Yep.
I think maybe it's like level 2 and up though.
It's howitzer.
Oh, Phil.
Interesting. No, not me. I don't. That's Tyler.
Oh, Tyler, right. Sorry. My brain is running.
No, that's not good. I don't.
Tyler should know.
I don't mind getting paid. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But all this to say, like, I know, like Brent had mentioned, I wanted to touch on this because a huge thing that turned around for me, and I'm still working on it constantly, but try to avoid telling yourself negative things when you practice.
I agree.
Only positive affirmations.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing. And like you were, and even to circle back even some more, when you were talking about like how do we just get the rig on and get going and get to work, it's not something that you have to do. It's something that you get to do.
Yeah.
Oh man,
you get to go home. You get to throw on the belt, and you get to and you get to practice.
I love philosophical Paul. It's my favorite.
Oh, I mean, I can't say that this is original.
Yeah, but
it's a lot better than sarcastic Paul.
Or match sadness Paul.
Match Mad Me is not fun, and I don't like it either.
Yeah, like you're saying, you got to get over it, dude. So,
I think I'm gonna try some like subversive things on you next match, where I'm gonna be like, hey Paul, can you tell me about this one thing just to get you out of your funk? It's gonna happen.
That's great.
No, and it's that match I was just over trying, and I hear you. It was, but I know.
Sucks, you know.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this next month, and I'm excited for my performance. But in all honesty, like find something that you can handle and something that you can set up and that you will stick with. Is really the end all be all, because we start to get, because obviously, like, you know, it's as with anything, right? Like if you want to lose weight, you're not going to lose weight by going to the gym, you know, maybe once a week, maybe not once a week, maybe for 30 minutes, maybe whatever, right? Like it has to become a consistent thing, and it has to become something that you want to do and enjoy doing, right?
I agree.
Otherwise, I mean, you just lose all the fun out of it. You just don't have any kind of, you know, you lose all sense of enjoyment.
Yeah, I think, I guess to add to that is probably the best shape I've ever gotten in my life was probably 3 years ago, and I was going to the gym probably 20 minutes for 4 times a week. I wasn't even going that much, but I was just being consistent with it.
Yeah.
So, and eating healthy too as well. But I just even think of one of my Bible professors in college. His favorite quote was, "What gets scheduled gets done." So I think it's actually just getting it scheduled, actually doing, and having the discipline, whether you're motivated or not, to just do it.
If you guys knew what I was looking at right now, I have let's see at the bottom of it. It is I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it. Sorry.
It's probably just like a wall of color.
I'll make a comment on
it is
I'll make a comment on
590 line smart sheet, which is a project management tool that takes me all the way to the zombie. It has just about every plan for every day of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, where I'm doing it.
That's amazing.
As far as training goes. Here's the thing though, like Paul was saying, you know, and that what you just said about the gym and things like that, and the plan, and your professor told you, if I have this, I may fall down on it. Sometimes I may get sick. I may not feel good. There may be a family gathering, whatever it is. But I know what I'm supposed to do. So if it's like, okay, I'm home, I got to do this. There's no figuring it out. I'm going in, you know, tonight's shotgun pistol, you know, I'm going in.
Yep.
So.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I've actually started doing that around with running, like, because I really wanted to make it super consistent to be out and running, right? Because like, I think a lot of people talk about like if you're not fit, you're dead. So, or and we're not going to go to war, hopefully. But I think about that a lot. And honestly, I started to work my running schedule because Brent and I do the Badger Trekker, and I don't want to like fall my face not being able to be athletic enough to run that. But I've actually started to set my running schedule around match schedules. So I actually time it because I want to get at least a minimum of 3 runs in a week. And I messed up the last week with USPSA because that couldn't be helped though because you're back-to-back matches. But I have it set this week where I'm like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday is match day. So I don't miss any of those runs. So I think it becomes that routine where you're like, yes, I want to do this. And I want to do this. And I'm scheduling this. And I like what you said about that, Tyler, where it's like if it's scheduled, it gets done. So I like that. The other thing I like as well, too, that I found is that if there's a night I go to bed and I'm like, I really don't want to run tomorrow morning, I will literally make it as simple as possible for myself to get up in the morning and go running. So all of my running clothes are laid out. They're laid out in the correct order that I would put them on. And I have my shoes and my socks in my shoes already. So when I get up and I set my alarm, I force myself to set the alarm. So I get up, I put all that stuff on. I'm like, all right, well, I got it on. It's here. I might as well go and do it.
Right. You're one of those one alarm guys, aren't you?
Oh no, I snooze my alarm.
Nice.
And Phil, you just got to get it.
That's amazing.
You got to get those days. You got to get the mindset to switch to just be, I get to do this now.
I know. Yeah, and there are days where I'm like that. I'm like, if I do this, I know that like for running at least, my mental productivities can be higher, right? I think you can also use that with a dry fire perspective. Like, dude, I'm gonna have a work day. Like, I know this work day is gonna be rough. But when I'm done with this workday, then I get to do what I want and focus on a skill building thing that I want to do, not something that like I have to do in order to pay the bills.
Yep.
Right. So I like that.
Yep.
It's
enjoyment.
I think that's my dad advice for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, look at that. I already got out of it.
Is that where we're at?
Well, we are getting a little deep in the podcast. So here we are. And it's okay because this has been really good. So I'm not upset about that at all.
So, Brent, what's your dad advice then?
My dad advice. You guys always say dad advice, but I don't know if I have dad advice. But
life advice.
Well, Phil says life advice for me, and I'd say dad advice for him.
Right.
Either way, it's life advice.
Well, something that may not surprise you guys is I also have pages and pages and pages of things that have been spoken to me, things that have spoke to my heart, things.
I love that.
I'm a guy that writes stuff down. So like I'm saying, I could go on and on forever, but today I picked get up early, stay longer, work harder, fail again, never quit.
Love it.
So
Brent, I want to say something that's been on my heart for a long time. And I know I've said this to you before. You are legitimately one of the most encouraging people I have ever met.
I agree with that.
And I remember, like, again, I'm getting a little cheesy here, but like, people need to tell you this. If they don't, they should tell you more often. Both you and Daryl. But like, I remember, like, the first time I shot Steel Challenge with you guys, my normal squad was full, so I had to go shoot with somebody else, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." And it ended up being like one of the best days of shooting ever because you were so encouraging and you were like, hey, do this. Like, it'll help prove a little bit. And I was like, oh, no kidding. That's a great idea. And you were so good about it. You're such a great RO, like great match director. It makes people want to be around you because it lifts everyone else up. And I know we goof around a lot and we may give each other some crap here and there.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like we're at the point now where we know each other. And honestly, and you very rarely have bad days. But when you have bad days, I have to be really careful and like watch that. Cause like, man, I'm going to have a bad day because Brent's having a bad day.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Our last match was tough on me.
But I didn't even notice though. So I think
it was also a mix of just not even just match wise, but like even just like everything else surrounding the match was
good. Right.
And that's hard. Like, I mean, I got to speak with Daryl a little bit. I don't know. I didn't really get to talk to you much about it, but I could tell. Because
Well, I mean, you guys did a good job though too of like not letting it show outwardly. Like you could tell something was wrong if you know you guys well, but you didn't let it like you weren't frustrated with it. Yeah, you didn't let it regulate you or let it regulate other individuals.
Exactly.
So mad props to that because honestly, like I know you guys were beat up about it. We talked about this, Tyler and I, in the last podcast, and I know you guys beat yourselves up over it, but most people didn't even notice or care because they were like, "Oh, you guys tried to fix a problem." And it didn't work. So what? Move on and try something else. And you guys fixed it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got kudos out to it. It's kind of fun because South Cunt just sent me a thing that says, "Hey, do you have anybody in your group or your what am I trying to say? Your discipline is outstanding, did outstanding work, and they want to honor them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
There's
nice.
something like that. Well, I can spill the beans on this. I sent in Dave. Dave jumped in so hard on that doggone.
100%.
I just
Yeah.
he didn't bad night. That guy just had a hip replacement, right? Like a month ago.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know
What?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
And
I know he looked like he was walking a little harder, but I just
Yeah.
assumed he's getting older.
He didn't. Well, yeah, he didn't bat
Love
an
you,
eye.
Dave.
He just like, hey, this isn't working. He didn't even think. He turned around and went and got his tools. So
Mhm.
Yeah, just another great example of why the USPSA matches at South Kent are so good.
they're good.
The squad that does everything does a fantastic job.
Yeah, I
And,
have to agree with that. And our competitors.
well, Brent, don't forget, no one's in line to take you and Daryl's spot. So if people want to complain, they can do it themselves. But I don't think anybody is.
Well,
Yeah.
So take some pride in that.
oh, I and thank you guys seriously, and Phil, thank you for the accolades. It's something that I literally have to work on because that is not my spirit. Okay, and I will say this straight up on it. If how do I say that? If I didn't have the beliefs in place about the people and the creator that I do worship, that none of that would be possible because I would. Well, what did my therapist say? Probably better not tick off Brent because there'd be dead people and buildings burning. I have that in me.
That's amazing.
I do. I'm straight up, seriously. And
Mhm.
and Tyler, you being a scripture studier,
Mhm.
somebody who has the ability to do really, really good, high end, good things also has the ability to do some pretty rotten things, and that is me.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean,
Very
Yeah,
true.
and
so
well, a
take
lot of it, I think.
that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm just
Well,
saying.
I was going to say
take
is
it. From
I'm
the
sorry,
standpoint
Brent,
of
go ahead.
how I encouraged you, Phil, I could be the other way and make you completely go into the dirt and never want to come out. So
That's
sorry.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example too, though. Of man, we're getting a little more philosophical here. I blame Paul for getting us there.
I know he went totally on the
I know.
terrain,
Like
man.
I'm like I'm not here shooting. I'm not thinking about the philosophical parts of it. And he's like over here, like Mr. Miyagi.
My man.
So, but I think it's different. Is it Jordan Peterson who kind of said something along the lines of like you have those abilities in you to be like an awful individual, but you have it under control.
Well, so I actually use that all the time. A good man is not a harmless man. A harmless man or a good man is a very dangerous man who has it under control. That is one of his statements.
100%. Yep.
And
Yeah.
and that's the truth because boy, I bet you he could tie into you, couldn't he? If he wanted to. Like if he didn't
100%.
So I try to live on that. And I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan. I got a lot of his quotes. So. Who's okay? Paul, you go next. I get to choose.
Up.
Oh my, okay. I was just kind of taking everything in. My thing would be, let yourself succeed. Many people, myself included, many people, oftentimes are so focused up in the problems.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fine. Like if you make a mistake or if there's something wrong, like finding and identifying the problem is completely normal and healthy. But dwelling on that problem and talking about that problem instead of finding a solution or doing the solution or going to the solution is what's gonna harm you more. So let yourself succeed when you find success. Be proud of your own successes.
Well, Paul, I am writing that down in my quote books. It's on page 46.
Nice.
Oh yes.
No, seriously, that is a great statement, dude. Those are the things that I find and I write down.
I appreciate.
I will lump onto that too. That's a great call out, Paul. Is letting yourself succeed is really super important. On top of that, because we're all friends here, also celebrate in the successes of your friends and other people, even if they're not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people think that by celebrating their successes, they're taking away from themselves, and they're not. And honestly, it's the other way around. If somebody else does succeed and you build them up as a result of that success, they're probably going to reciprocate it for you someday. Not that it's required, but it's also going to make you drive to be a better person instead of being like a hollow individual inside who's like, oh, they did super well and they got whatever class in their classifiers and I'm a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. No, use that as motivation and then celebrate with them because they're your friend. Like, don't get down on them just for being awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tyler. I think you're the only one left, buddy. What do you got for us?
Enjoy the people around you. I got called out on that earlier before we kind of started in our green room, I guess, because for me, I can be really focused on getting things done, trying to keep on working, keeping on striving. And the guys are laughing because these are literally the guys who called me out on it. Brent especially, which I love you, brother, which I'm thankful for you because it's true. This is what my mentor has told me, and he's really trying to hammer this into my head, but work is designed to destroy us.
Absolutely.
Work was created before the fall. Labor, for those who are believers, those who are Christian, work is not a part of this, not a part of sin. It's not a part of the cursed world. It was created beforehand, before any of that, when the world was still perfect, and it was designed to destroy us. That's why God created the Sabbath. He did it as an example for us because it's our responsibility to say no, to say no more. I'm going to focus on my friends. I'm going to focus on my family. I'm going to focus on myself now and rejuvenate and spend time with those because it doesn't, because end of the day, you're replaceable. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yep.
We are all 100% replaceable.
For what?
At work.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't think our families were replaceable.
At work.
But
that's what I'm saying. At work.
Yeah, I got
because we're not replaceable in our families and our loved ones.
Okay.
And that's where I was going with that. We're replaceable at work. There, one day when we die, it's like, cool, they did this and that, but it's really our families who are going to look back and be like, man, I remember when mom, dad, husband, wife did this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're going to remember. And because that's what really matters. So all let's say, my advice is enjoy the people around you and learn how to say no and get some rest. Take a nap.
Take a nap.
I knew that was going to come up.
That was also in our green room discussion.
I don't nap well, Tyler. Sorry.
What?
Really?
I don't like napping, dude. I don't
really.
Way too
I don't
much
really take
I
much
want
naps
to do.
either.
When I have the time,
dude.
napping is life.
Yeah. Oh yeah, napping is life.
But you're a panda.
Yeah.
But I'm not a panda though.
No, Paul's a panda.
Summer vacation is the greatest thing ever.
What'd you say?
Summer vacation is the greatest thing ever, honestly.
Oh, yeah. For your context, I don't know. For me, because whenever I go on like just vacation, I'm like, I want to go do stuff. I will
100%.
I will take a nap when I get home. Which is also why I always schedule whenever I have vacations. Like I'll like grind for like a week and a half, and then like the last few days will just be to relax and recover from the vacation. I go back to work.
nap on the way there in the car while I'm driving.
Oh man! I was gonna say you're the guy driving.
I was gonna say.
Did you get
for context here for people who are listening? Brent drove the whole way, both directions. Sometimes like super, like to the point where it wasn't even late at night. It was early in the morning to Zombie, which is what 9+ hour drive.
Yeah, something like
that. Didn't even bat an eye. Nope. I'm up there like in the back of the camper, like passing out. Like Brent, we need to stop. I need to take a nap. And he's like, "No, we're still going. I'm awake." And I'm like, "How are you functioning?"
It was amazing.
It's how I'm made, dude. Sorry.
I guess.
Yeah.
But all that to say, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to another exciting episode of Acceptable Accuracy. Thank you so much, Brent, Paul, for joining us today. It was really cool to hear the different philosophies and kind of glean from your guys' wisdom today. I will admit, I am definitely motivated to dry fire right now. So thank you so much. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And also find us we finally have a Facebook page. It took me forever to do that. So be sure to find us on Acceptable Accuracy on Facebook and Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Find us on our link tree. Email us at podcast@acceptableaccuracy.com. And yeah, all I say, thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you at the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.